do you think the politicians use the culture war as a distraction tactic? Well, almost 2/3 of people do. That's according to a new poll. The research found that only 10% believe that politicians genuinely care about cultural divisions and that the term woke is increasingly seen as an insult. Yeah. Joining me now is comedian Diane Spencer. Diane, thank you very, very much. I can see the school of thought that, guys, look, we've got massive infrastructure problems, the NHS, all of this stuff, and, those should be a politician's primary focus. But I can also see the idea that, the culture wars, whether it's things like trans ideology in schools or whatever, actually is something that really underpins the very fabric of society. Your views, Diane?
Well, I suppose the culture wars are the kind of thing that we argue about in pubs a lot. So it is quite crucial. I mean, for me, culture wars used to be sort of arguing whether you want to listen to Take That or you're more of sort of a Pearl Jam kind of person. But I grew up in the 90s and wasn't that fun with heroin chic. So I can understand how culture wars are important, but I do think that sometimes they're just overblown on Twitter. And we're just focusing on what a small minority are concerned with. And it is a distraction. Don't you think it's a distraction from the fact that, well, now a bit of concrete can fall on our children? That's if you can afford to get them to school, if you can afford to fill your car up while our millionaire prime minister is trying to fill his car up and he doesn't know how. It wasn't really his car. I understand it, but I do think that they sometimes leap on this kind of bus, like with Suella Braverman saying the tofu eating wokerati. Number one, tofu's all right, you just got to fry it. And number two, why don't you focus on your job, mate? Right? You're the Home Secretary. Fix Heathrow, fix the Channel crossings, fix all of those things, sort out the barge, get the Legionnaire's disease out of it, do all of those things before you start attacking people eating tofu.
I can completely see that it is easier for politicians to come out and start banging on about, some kind of cultural controversy than it is to actually stop the boats coming in the first place or to do whatever. I get all of that. I mean, the politicians have proved to be abject failures at that, and they've made it very easy, therefore, for people to say, you're only talking about this to distract from all of your failures. 100%. But then part of me just think, well, culture is important. Well, a lot of me thinks the culture is important. The British culture is important and that our way of life is important. And if that feels as though it's being put under attack, so say from people who don't think that we should have any kind of gender or anything, I think that it's worth highlighting, but maybe it shouldn't be their lead priority.
I mean, you have got a point there. I remember you came up with a great idea that maybe every Sunday morning we should do something incredibly British, which is designed to sort of unite everybody. I love the idea of kind of.
I mean, it used to be church, to be fair, and that's gone out the window now, hasn't it? So, yeah.
It's really cold in those places, Patrick. I don't like church. They're just cold and they don't do a decent bacon roll. I can understand how, the issue of the genders, it does make sense that they do need to address this. Other culture war issues, about sort of even Just Stop Oil is a culture war issue because there are some people who feel you should tackle the cost of living over the climate. But they are those little things that do sort of prey on your mind.
Has it affected you? Can I ask Diane? Diane, can I just ask, has it affected you at all? You're a comedian, so you're on the circuit, and
Yes.
have you ever felt like, oh gosh, the kind of, I'll say it, the wokerati have come for you?
Do you know what? There has been a change sometimes in the way the audience responds, because there's definitely been a shift, especially if you do a university gig. Some university gigs have cancelled acts I've been on with before they've even got on stage because they've found a clip of them online and they've said, oh my God, this person just shatters our values. It's like, I thought you were for diversity, but clearly you can't deal with anybody who thinks differently to you. It has affected me as a comedian because sometimes you'll make a joke that, I know that people say, oh, you can't make jokes about anything anymore. You can. And it's weird, but sometimes you'll do a joke that isn't an ist of any sort. It's not misogynist. It's not racist, because you don't want to make jokes like that because they're not funny. But it might have a trigger word in it that the audience suddenly go, ooh, and they'll panic as if you have done one of those awful things, but you haven't, because some people are sort of on edge about it.
Yeah, no, it's a concerning times out there. I can very much actually, uncharacteristically for me, see both sides of this, which is that some of the cultural elements are low-hanging fruit for politicians who cannot get their own house in order. But then I do think as well, I look at the rapid rate of change, and then people think, oh, well, this is what's acceptable today, and then it's not tomorrow, then it is again the day after, and the rules keep changing. And I think it's worthwhile us just trying to preserve a little bit of stability. You don't want to change too much too quickly. But, Dan, we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. I will see you again very soon, though. There's a wonderful comedian, Diane Spencer, regular here on GB News. You'd love to see it. Right, OK, so a fight has broken out between two female passengers on a long-haul flight, OK? The American traveller became irate after her reclined seat was quotedly kicked repeatedly. Let's have a quick look.
The whole trip, she pushed my seat. You seen it? No, she didn't. She put, no. I'm allowed to put my seat back. I'm allowed to put my seat back. I'm allowed to put my seat back.
Oh, she is 100% allowed to put her seat back. It's that age-old question, isn't it? I am more on the side of the woman behind her. I think it is annoying when people put it back, but at the same time, you shouldn't be kicking someone's seat. I tell you who I'm definitely not on the side of. The bloke who sat next to me for an entire flight with his kid, who didn't put headphones in his kid's Game Boy, right? Even when anyway, personal vendetta on national television there.